Victims on the BBC News website. It's obviously a real tragedy there, and it is worth taking a look at some of the profiles of those who lost their lives. Now we can speak to Barry Donadio, a first-time responder to the Transworld Airlines Flight 800 crash in 1996. Welcome to the programme. Unfortunately, Barry, you have experience of dealing with these awful tragedies. Where do you see things standing now? I mean, we've just heard from my colleague Carl there that the weather's making the recovery efforts and, of course, the investigation, therefore, as well, a bit trickier.
Yes, thanks for having me on your show. I'm so sorry to the victims of this crash. This is a horrible tragedy. The weather, the cold, the ice in the water, and at the time of the rescue, the darkness all hampered the operations. Now that we're in a salvage operation, there's still danger out there. Our salvage people and first responders that are still working to recover bodies, to bring comfort to some of the families and bring closure to this, can still get hurt doing their job. They have to take their job very slowly, very carefully, and be meticulous and methodical and not endanger themselves doing the task of the horrible task of, recovering the victims.
And Barry, it's not just about the physical risks that these first responders might face, but it's also the toll it might take on them, recovering bodies, recovering the remains, recovering people's possessions, that kind of thing, isn't it, Barry?
Yes, it's very horrible to go through. It's traumatic. It is probably one of the toughest things some of those first responders are going to deal with ever in their career. It's the amount of loss in one day that is heartbreaking, and the fact that there obviously are young people on board that had their whole lives ahead of them. And, that's not an easy pill to swallow. That's tough. The other thing is quite defeating for a first responder to respond and have everything lost and have no survivors. It would be like going into a war and losing a war. It's a terrible feel of defeat when you're going to save people and there's just no one left to be saved. So, pray for our first responders, please. They've got a tough job ahead of them.
Indeed. And what sort of training and support is available for them as well?
Yes, that's correct. Things have changed since I've been a first responder. In the old days, you dealt with situations and you dealt with it in your own ways. But they've come a long way. Mental health and counseling, they really do take care of first responders. They know that this is heart-wrenching for any human being to go through, and recovering bodies, those images can stay with you. And they're always offering, any assistance and counseling to anybody that's involved in a situation like this.
And Barry, how does the work of the first responders tie into the work that the investigators do? Because, of course, presumably when first responders are picking through the wreckage, they'll be finding things that could help get to the bottom of what caused this. Right.
So your initial first responders were there to save lives. And now that they've moved to the salvage, they're going very slow and methodical. I'm certain that the investigators are asking them to, any pieces that they're recovering, be careful with it. They're going to save it as evidence. It's going to be placed to the side, cataloged, and kept for an investigation. So we can really get to the bottom of what happened. And, I've seen the videos. We all have seen the videos and wonder how the helicopter could crash into the plane, especially when the plane has spotlights in the front. And I've seen the most recent video. So a lot of questions for all of us to ask and have answered.
Indeed. Barry Donadio, thank you very much for taking us through this story. We appreciate it.